Hello and welcome to MH510 Alpha in the fall of 2024, Historiography and Methodology. This week, this term, we're really going to be talking about historiography rather than what most people think of as history. So we're going to be looking at how historians look at history as opposed to the history that they produce and they write and it's on the shelves all around me. All right. So let's just jump right into the slide packet and start off with a little bit of a reminder about week one. Be sure you read through the posts on the discussions and the Chicago Manual of Style in the course cafe. If you have not received your books yet, do not panic. There are alternatives. What I would like you to do is some web research instead of the assigned readings. Only if you don't have the assigned readings. Most of them should be on Red Shelf. You can start here at History Today or the University of North Florida, or go to the Open University and take a look and see what they have got to say about this subject of historiography. You can follow that with a piece from Princeton on historiography and the What is Historiography link in the slide packet. But follow that up with some additional research both on the subject of historiography and also the history of history, especially since about 1850. So about the last, 180 years or thereabouts. All right, let's jump right in to talk about some of the discussion questions. Your first discussion question is, what is history? What is historiography? And what is the relationship between the two? Hint here, think about the question. Think about the question. One of the authors might define terms one way while another might define terms in a different way. Be sure you define terms yourself and can defend your answer. Don't just accept someone else's statement at face value. So what I'm suggesting there is, don't take what John Arnold, for instance, says history is. Rather, read several of the sources, read what they all say, and synthesize that in your own words as to what history is, what historiography is, and what you think the relationship between the two are. Okay. Second question, how has the field of history changed since 1850? And is this a good thing or a bad thing for the field, and why? Here, remember to focus on the field of academic history and be sure to think over the entire period. From the readings, identify 3 or 4 of what you think the most significant changes are and explain why you think those are most important. Students often think simply because it's academic history now since von Ranke, and there's so much more history now, that obviously that's a good thing. Think critically about that. Who is history really for? Are historians supposed to write for other historians? And here I'm talking about academic historians, scholarly historians. Are they supposed to write for other historians, or are they supposed to write for the people? Who do historians write for now? Maybe it's not all a good thing. All right, so let's look at question 1 in a little bit more depth. For the first question, you will need to think about the past, evidence of the past, the concept of interpretation, the processes historians employ, and the products historians produced. Is the past the same as history? Can we know the entirety of the past or of history? How do historians learn about or know the past? Think about academic history as a conversation. When a historian writes, is it useful to just repeat what others have said? How does a historian's worldview, their Weltanschauung, their perspective, their belief system affect how they write history? How do the conditions of our own times affect how we see the past and what we ask of it? What do we call all the stuff written about the Battle of Gettysburg or the Civil Rights Movement or post-World War II decolonization? What do we call that collection of stuff? Okay. For the second question, you will need to think about the broad changes across the entirety of the field of history that have occurred between the early 19th century and the present time. How has who writes history? What sorts of history do they write? What are the questions they ask? What methodologies do they apply? And who do they write about changed? How has all of that stuff changed from, say, 1850 to the present? So think about these questions. Who wrote history before, say, 1850? Who writes history now? How did folks learn to write history before 1850, and how do historians become qualified now? How did folks value history before 1850, and how do historians value history now? What did most folks write about before 1850, and what sort of topics are written about now? Who did historians write for before 1850? And don't buy into the patronage argument. Yes, they had a patron, but modern historians get foundation grants. That's a patron. They write under the auspices of their university. Again, can they write something that's terribly critical of the history of that institution? So don't buy into the patronage argument. And who do historians write for now? Some week one reminders. Don't forget to start your primary replies, both to DQ1 and to DQ2, by restating the question. Then give us a short, direct 1 or 2 sentence answer to the question posed in the requirements. That's your thesis. Then expand, explain, and defend your answer with evidence, see below, from multiple readings. If you give me a John Tosh's view, then you're not giving me your view, which is what I'm interested in. You're giving me John Tosh's view. So read multiple sources, analyze, break them down, synthesize them back together again in terms of the multiple sources, and then give me your answer. Your answer. And then see below the link for proper citation format. But I've also posted that in the cafe. All right, there we go. There's the end of week one. Y'all take care. Stay safe, and I'll see you around the campus. Bye-bye.